the team who finished second in the NFC East, and that is the New York Football Giants. All right. Is it Danny Dimes season yet?
He has the weapons for Danny Dimes season. He has the experience for Danny Dimes season. He has the most athletic running back in the NFL, probably, to take some of that pressure off. There's no reason for him not to, but there's 12 other quarterbacks I'd feel more comfortable with.
There's countless other quarterbacks I'd feel more comfortable with.
Yes.
Oh, I like the kid. I think he's a hard worker. You can't knock him on that, and he is trying. But, they don't really give out participation trophies in fantasy football. So,
wish they did.
Yeah, I'd have a ton of those. But yeah, you're not really looking at Daniel Jones for fantasy options. I don't think really anybody is, unless it's like super flex. You're starting 2 QBs. Then he's probably still sitting on your bench. But yeah, let's move on from Daniel Jones. Let's talk Saquon. Saquon Barkley coming off another horrible injury for I think the second out of 3 years. He's had his season cut short due to injury. Right now, he's being drafted as like the 3rd or 4th, maybe 5th best running back in fantasy drafts. Are you a little worried about Saquon?
You can't be. He's just too good when he's on the field. You can't pass it up. Even that, I had him 2 years ago, and he got hurt in the middle of the season, missed a significant chunk of time. But when when I had him though, he's a top 2 running back every week. He's just too good. I think you can't let the injury scare you. I think if he falls to you in the draft, if that's your draft pick, you got to take him.
So with Saquon, I think best case scenario, and this is career wise. So if you're playing dynasty leagues and you're doing a dynasty startup, I think best case scenario for Saquon is he ends up like Dalvin Cook. Early career injuries that looked really bad that could derail you from getting him, but once he's finally healthy for a full season, he's electric. I want to agree with you, but I am still very worried about those injuries.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. You see guys suffer these bad injuries, and they don't ever really come back. I think Dalvin Cook is kind of in the minority there, being able to come back and be a very productive fantasy back. So I'm a little worried, but you're not wrong. The talent is obviously there. I mean, he's one of the most athletic backs, if not the most athletic back in the NFL. So when he's on the field, he's healthy. But remember, when he's on the field, he's obviously healthy. When he's on the field, he's great. But will he be on the field? That's the question.
So when would you feel comfortable taking him? If he fell at what position would he have to fall to for you to be comfortable taking him?
Well, you look at other backs going around him. So obviously CMC, Cook, Henry.
Did Kamara go before him?
Yeah, I would take Kamara.
Okay.
After then, it's between him and Chubb.
Yeah.
So I'd probably, I'd end up kicking myself if I didn't take him. So I'd probably just take the leap on him and then try to grab. If I draft him first, I'm going 2 RBs. I'm not going running back, wide receiver. I'm taking another running back for sure with my next pick.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's move on to wide receivers. So they've got a couple of new faces here. Biggest wide receiver contract of the offseason, Kenny Golladay, signing for like $84 million, $85 million for about 4 years
4
in New
years.
York.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think his outcomes are with Danny Dimes? Do we see Golladay getting 100 receptions?
It's definitely possible. The Giants desperately needed a wide receiver one. Yes. Shepard and Slayton do not have the talent to carry this team from that position. Not in my opinion.
But they're wide receiver twos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny Golladay is exactly what they needed. Do I trust the Giants, though, to get this done? I don't think I do.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think it runs through Saquon as much as it can.
Yeah.
But, but the thing is, Kenny Galladay's never really had a large volume. When he was in Detroit, it was like, I think he was getting 80 to 90 catches a year and still producing. Mm-hmm. But do we see him finishing as a wide receiver 1?
Low-end wide receiver 1 if he does. I see more likely he falls in that 12 to 24 range.
Yeah, I see him being low-end to mid wide receiver 2.
Really?
Yeah. I do not trust Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
that's my whole problem.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the other guys, Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. You mentioned them. They've been the mainstays in New York for quite some time. Still have rapport with Daniel Jones. Shepard and Slayton, they're going, I think, around the 7th or 8th round. These guys, would you be willing to take a shot on either one?
I've never liked Shepard for fantasy. Never. Mm-hmm. You know exactly what you're going to get, so there's no risk-reward thing going on. It's just a safe pick if you take him. Slayton, I think he does have somewhat of a higher ceiling.
He's got upside, definitely with the speed.
I could see him having, but if we're saying Galladay's not going to do, if he's going to be wide receiver 2, there's no way Slayton does better than that. So I'm probably avoiding these guys in drafts. I think there's other options going around the same time who have a higher ceiling. Yeah, it's not the way I like to play fantasy football.
You play a clean game, James.
I play a clean game.
So with Cadarius Toney being brought in, now the thing I see Darius Slayton, a lot of people see him as kind of a one-trick pony with a lot of speed, downfield routes. Do we see Cadarius Toney taking some of that away, possibly?
Yeah.
With his versatility.
Yeah, I think so. I think, we saw Toney at Florida. He's good. He can take a short little slant route to the house. That's kind of his game. And Slayton kind of had his big fantasy games came off those games where he had the one big play or something. And I think Cadarius Toney definitely works his way into taking some of that away from Slayton.
All right, question. Out of those 3 wide receivers, who do you want?
Regular redraft league?
Yeah, just redraft. Half point.
I'll go with Slayton for this next year.
I'd go Toney.
Really?
I'd try to take a home run with him because you're not going to get a lot of volume, I don't think, out of that offense. So take my shot with him. But I still like Sterling Shepard. I think he's like baby Robert Woods. He's consistent, but he's still not as good as Robert Woods.
Right.
Do we want to talk a little bit about Evan Engram? I mean, he was god-awful last year.
I like Evan Engram. He's a very athletic tight end. I think he could definitely turn it around, and there's not a lot of tight end options out there. I am perfectly fine with Evan Engram on my team.
I don't like him. I mean,
at all, really.
He's a terrible person. No. I mean, you're right. There's not a lot of options, and he's a familiar face, but there's a lot of other mouths to feed in this offense. And I don't know if he's going to see as much volume as you want. If you're not going to go after Kelsey or Kittle or Waller, Hawkinson, maybe Andrews, I'd rather take a shot on somebody else than Evan Engram. But he probably finishes, as a tight end too, which that's not great, but
no,
not at all. Do you want to talk a little bit about their defense, or you want to keep moving?
I don't have much to say. I don't want them. Do you?
Not really. I think they had James Bradbury was a really good piece on that defense. Who I guess if you're playing against the Giants, then watch your matchup. I think Bradbury's still there. I want to say he is.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, let's go forward saying he is. So if he is on that defense, watch your matchup. Other than that, you're not drafting their defense. You're not picking them up or anything. Let's move on.